Hello everyone, brothers. The new part of the recap, links to the past are in the description and in the comments. Enjoy your viewing. Well done, Guy Tae. Great job, boss. I'll finish the rest myself. Ho ho. He has no strength to occupy. Thanks to Guy Tae. See you tomorrow. A man was wiping the floors in a restaurant and talking to himself. So another great day has passed. Hey, I'd rather finish and go home to buy a beer. Suddenly, the restaurant door opened. Oh, sorry, we're already closed. The man said and then turned around and looked who came. You. He said out loud. Long time no see. Said the man who came in. Jeon Jong-soo. It's you? The employee was surprised. A couple of minutes later, he was already cooking noodles for him. And a moment later, the noodles were already waiting for their owner. Well, that's it. Done. Try. A masterpiece from Guy Tae on which a lot of effort was spent. This is noodles for real men. Even though I am an assistant chef now, I will become the best chef very soon. The man tried the cooking. Hahaha. How delicious is it? The cook asked. Know that it is an honor to be my first client. Putting the chopsticks on the table, the visitor turned away and said. Horror, Ryachevo. What? The cook shouted. After a while, they were already standing on the street and talking. How's work going? Every day is like the apocalypse. You seem to like it. The visitor said with a smile. The great Guy Tae himself became a cook. I was surprised. Oh, come on. The cook replied. Cook is too big a word for me. The reality is like this. I got out of the narrow corridors of the school, and now the world seems so spacious to me. Suddenly the visitor asked. Do you hate me? I kicked you out like a coward. You? Hate it? The cook asked in surprise and added. Jong-soo, if you think about it. Then you were right. You called me a bully back then. I thought otherwise, but in the end it turned out that way. All hooligans are like that, only now I've come to my senses. You see, I was right. The visitor replied with a satisfied expression. What a freak. Are you bragging now? You said yourself that I'm right. Okay, I'll go, I have things to do. Are you leaving already? Where are you in such a hurry? I'm sorry I called your cooking a piggy. I wish you to become the greatest chef in the world. John said as he left. Why are you so embarrassing? Right then we'll go have a drink with you. If there's time. He replied. Definitely not in the near future. I have to kill this monster in order for everyone to survive. At the same time. Rispol caught up with the villain, and now he, person, and I were standing near the fence wall. Taking a little breath from the chase, Rispol began to speak. You really deserve credit for getting here. But now you're finished. The heavily wounded villain was lying with his back against a wall. I was shocked. Rispol. It's definitely him. For a second, I thought about my humiliating past. And my body refused to move. Rispol continued. A little more, and you really are finished. Now give up. He wanted to say it, but he didn't say it. Noticing me, he turned his head and said. A child? What are you doing here? Run away from here, it's dangerous here. I was mumbling and couldn't pull myself together. That bastard doesn't even remember me. Then suddenly he remembered. Stop. This mask. Wasn't it you I saw in Seoul? How did you end up here? Do you live here? I was trying to squeeze out the words. Me too. Me too. The villain. But I said it so indistinctly that it was difficult to understand the meaning. Letters do not bind into words. A pitiful sight. I remembered what I was like before becoming a Superman. And I felt uncomfortable. We'll talk later. Cut off the Rispol. Leave quickly. This is not a place for children. All his attention was focused on the villain who was lying against a wall. I'm not a child. I shouted. What? I can't hear. Turning around, he repeated the words. Baby, get out of here. At that moment, a knife flew into the Rispol. Naturally he noticed it. Ha. You and Prada have nothing left since you throw such things. Breathing heavily, the villain replied. Well, kill me already. Good. Rispol answered. I was going to anyway. I gathered my thoughts and said a little louder. Rispol. Don't ignore me. I'm a villain too. I'm not a child. Yeah. Me too. But he just covered me with his hand and said. Baby. I understood. Now hide behind me. It's dangerous here. Physical strength and pride were not proportional to each other in my body. Even a weak person can have a huge sense of self-worth. Despite the good intentions of Rispol, my conceit was greatly hurt. Suddenly that dark voice sounded in my head again. Ha 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 ha. He laughed with me. Garbage. A title suitable for a coward like you. Shut up. I said to the voice in my head. Who called me a coward? Then what are you afraid of? The ominous voice caused fear. Pull out that arrogant hand of Respawn. Do you want to continue playing the victim? The victim that the heroes save? What? Never. I don't want. But. You pathetic bastard. A voice shouted. Coward. Garbage. What, will you run away with your tail between your legs? No. What do you know? I tried to retort, but my voice was unshakable. You're scared. You're afraid of him. Damn garbage. You're wasting my power in nowhere. Shut up. It's time to get ready. What's wrong with me? We need to calm down. Pull yourself together. Concentrate. That's my voice. If I get ready, I won't hear it anymore. Damn weakling. The voice shouted even louder. I'll have to do everything myself. What? What the hell? I'll show you what real power is. Respawn, who was standing in front of me, once again tried to protect me. Baby, wait for me for now. I'll take you home when I've dealt with him. I'm sure he won't attack you. But just in case. Suddenly he felt something. Something dangerous is behind you. What? But after a moment, my hand pierced his chest. Pieces of flesh and blood flew to the ground. And? What for? The hero said in surprise. Respawn couldn't believe what had happened. The child, who only occasionally flashed in the news about the skirmishes, now pierced his chest. The hero began to cough and through spitting with blood, was able to squeeze out the word damn. Person, the villain who was sitting against a wall, opened his eyes wide, apparently he didn't believe it either. I was still standing with my hand in the chest of the Respawn, but it didn't last long. Suddenly, a powerful blow to the face sent me flying far away. A huge column of dust rose into the air. I was fired like a cannon. Respawn fell to his knee. The wound turned out to be really fatal even for such a hero. His thoughts were disordered. A mortal wound. How stupid. I thought there was something strange about his presence here. I was too distracted by person. Not happening. How could I not react until I was pierced through? Even if I was too careless. That's what Respawn was thinking at that moment. Then he said. Damn. He was superhuman. But before he could finish, huge claws appeared from behind the rocks in the place where I flew away. They were more animal-like or even demonic. Respawn in person paid attention to this, waiting for what would happen next. And suddenly, in the dust that had not yet settled, a purple eye opened. The hero already familiar to us, namely a pink-haired girl in a mask, suddenly turned her attention somewhere. The girl sitting opposite her, with white hair and eyes, asked what had happened because she noticed the anxiety of the interlocutor. Also, a bodybuilder already familiar to us was sitting next to them. The girl in the mask decided to ask if her friends had heard any sounds, but the comrades did not understand what she was talking about. Listen, since you invited us to meet, can you take off your mask? Shouldn't we show ourselves to each other already? The big guy asked. Shut up. Do you have extra teeth? Only you mix alcohol and protein shake. Said the masked girl, who continued to sit and drink her drink with suspicion on her face. Hanel's house. One of the strongest heroes. He was standing in his bathroom and talking to the mayor of the city. Haha, yeah. Of course, I understand everything. Al started, but was interrupted. Exactly. It's crazy. Because of the darkness. The hero is a hero, but if darkness kills all criminals, as it is now, then what should the military and police do? He also belongs to Grigori, albeit unofficially, and 3 heroes of the War of the North are on his side. Yes, don't worry, I'll talk to darkness. Al answered. Rights? Only on you and hope. Thank you, L. We didn't have a dialogue with the Russian blue. I hope for you. Said the mayor. Yes, Mr. Mayor. Don't worry and go to sleep. Al continued, but suddenly something caught his attention. At full speed, he jumped out of his apartment right onto the roof of the house. Standing on it and looking into the distance, his face was too scared. The mayor was also scared and asked what happened. At this time, apparently the hero was running to the rescue of the devil through the blue hell and muttering to himself. Damn. Why doesn't it come out? Did this hippie really run there? Oh, this scumbag will definitely mock. Suddenly, a noise in the sky caught his attention. Damn, I almost laid bricks, and these are just birds. He wished he could relax, but stopping abruptly, he wondered. What? Why are so many birds alarmed in the middle of the night? Maybe a fire? Respawn and person were looking into the distance, where I was standing. Except my appearance didn't look human anymore. A black haze was coming out of my body, 2 horns had grown, and my eyes were purple. With my frightening gaze, I looked at them. Respawn immediately began to assess the situation. A monster? Cannot be. Is it really a monster? How is this possible? Was this kid a monster? Or obsession? But this is too much. He wondered. That's exactly what person said. Why is there a monster all of a sudden? And this aura? I didn't let them think for a long time, jumping sharply towards the hero and the villain. Respawn didn't even have time to react as I was right in front of him and tried to hit him in the chest. Still, it's not for nothing that he is one of the strongest heroes. It would be strange if he couldn't dodge a direct blow to the face. Damn. This is not the time to stand and think. He screamed and lunged for a counterattack, after which he hit me in the face. Apparently he hoped that his strongest blow would be able to do something to me, but without even stirring up, I began a series of numerous attacks. After that, he raised his hand, concentrating a huge amount of energy to attack. Respawn was still able to evade this. Looking around, he saw a huge rift from my attack and wondered in his head. He just waved his hand. I won't be able to resist him. Then I decided to apply one of my techniques. A blow of justice. Respawn raised his hand up and concentrated a strange blue aura, then launched it in my direction. The hit was right on the spot because I didn't even budge. Perhaps this attack would have killed someone else, but without even thinking, I immediately rushed at him for a new attack. At the same time, around my hands and soon around me, the space began to distort. He didn't even wince, even though I touched him. Incredible durability. Respawn shouted and applied a new technique. Iron Spirit, full protection. After that, a huge wall with the face of a demon came out of the ground, but unfortunately for him, I could not break it. I tore this wall like an ordinary leaf. And in the next moment, I rushed past the Respawn, leaving him far behind, standing. To stand already without an arm up to the shoulder. A huge jet of blood sprayed in all directions from Respawn's shoulder. I finally stopped and looked in his direction. The hero, gathering all his strength into a fist, grabbed a piece of the wall that he had created earlier and threw it in my direction with all his might. A huge column of dust and fragments of stones rose. It was already noticeable that Respawn was moving with the last of his strength. He was coughing up blood. An injury incompatible with life, heavy bleeding, there is no way back anymore. And also an enemy. A real monster. He told himself. Coughing even harder, he already said in a voice. Apparently, this place will become my grave. Still, no matter how strong he was, the hero fell to one knee and continued to think. This monster is dangerous. I have never seen or heard of such a force before. We need to somehow convey the information to the others. Then he got up, he had no choice, because I was already heading in his direction. A little more and we'll all die. He thought. Suddenly, I disappeared from the place where I was standing earlier. Who are you, kid? Why are you attacking me? Respawn shouted and continued. I didn't think my life would end here. It's all my fault. But it's too lonely a death. Catch the last gift of the monster. He shouted out the last words and the hero's emblem on his chest lit up. See this aura before you die. Kissason. After these words, everything around him lit up and the stones began to rise into the air. Of course, this did not stop me and I jumped in his direction. While I was flying, he used some other technique called Manjinsak. After that, huge boulders began to fall on me. In just a few seconds, I was crushed by a huge pile of rocks and lay on the ground. It didn't take me long to get away. Under the huge pressure of boulders, I began to climb. He was able to stand up even after the blow. Incredible strength. But this is just a beginning. The hero thought and started shouting with all his might. Literally in an instant, even more stones were already hanging in the air. One of the stones was of incredible size, and with the words Manenta, Respawn lowered his hand, and a huge number of boulders flew at me again. Except this time I didn't even fall, I just stood there. Did he survive even that? What is the limit of his powers? The hero thought, and I grinned with a smile. A smile that will make any person, hero or even demon shiver. Respawn gathered the remaining strength in himself again and shouted. Flash. The biggest boulder that was hanging in the sky started falling on me. Once again, starting to distort the space around me, I turned a huge stone into a pile of rubble with a simple movement of my hand. This time, despair could be seen on Respawn's face. Haha, it's crazy. There really are no more options. The remnants of my strength. The lynx is probably coming here. If he fights this monster, he will die. He was talking in his head and raised his hand to the sky again. A blue aura appeared in the place where he was looking and pointing with his hand. We need to make sure that he doesn't come here. I did everything I could. Once again he thought, but these were his last thoughts because I was already hanging over him, with my hand raised to strike. Right before he died, he said out loud. Ugh. Maybe I should have run after the lynx after all. After that, I cut the body of the Respole in half, diagonally. It was the end for one of humanity's greatest heroes. I stood over his body with a demonic smile. Person, who was probably hiding somewhere, peeked out from behind the stone. All he saw was me standing on Respole's lifeless body. Cannot be. Respole is dead. What's going on here? He said, but it was unnecessary. I don't know how, maybe I heard it or felt it, but I noticed him and turned in his direction. The hero's face twisted into a terrifying grimace. After that, the demonic mode began to pass and showed my face. And? I asked while the mode was leaving. A second later, I was standing completely in my human form and said. Are you still here? I couldn't finish, apparently having spent all my strength, I just passed out and fell down without strength. The villain, seeing this, did not understand what had happened and just wondered. What the fuck? At this time, the hero, nicknamed Lynx, continued to run to help Respole when suddenly he saw a blue light, whose hero I killed, in the sky. Is that our hippie's signal? Has he caught person yet? Haha, damn it. So he was on the right track. But is it like the opposite direction to the tracks? Why is he calling me there? Maybe he's already caught it and moved out? That damn braggart. Well, since he did a good job, maybe buy him something. His guitar is 100 years old, at least, you can give him a new one. The hero Lynx spoke, continuing to run after the light of Respole, who decided to save his friend by spending the remaining strength on the so-called guiding star. Urgent news release. Tragic news has reached us. On the 7th, 31-year-old Mr. Kim was killed on the territory of the Blue Hell. Mr. Kim bore the heroic name of Respole. And more than once he saved our citizens in trouble. Many residents were shocked by the sudden news of his death. It is known that the funeral of Respole will be held in secret. While the presenter was telling the news, Respole's funeral was already in full swing. All the heroes gathered at his grave, standing in the rain. Even though Respole left us to join the Lord God, his courage and sacrifice will not be forgotten. We will live, keeping the memories of him in our hearts. May he find his peace in heaven. Amen. The priest sang, standing at the grave. Oh. How so? He's in a better place right now. How could this happen? The heroes who had already begun to disperse were talking. Only 3 of them continued to stand still. Suddenly, the bodybuilder banged his fist and shouted. Damn. How so? Respole could not have died. Could not. The woman with purple hair also supported him. You did a good job, Respole. Now you can rest. I'm sorry. When you were in danger, I was drinking I don't know where. Leave it to us. I will find your killer and he will pay for everything. Suddenly, 2 people appeared against the background of the bodybuilder. An elderly grandmother and a tall man. Oh, what is it? How could this happen to Respole? The woman said. These were Princess Rezin. Former hero, former member of the Hwoarang faction, one of the 3 heroes of the War of the North, the greatest hero of the 2nd generation, title. Heavenly Fireworks and Ban, hero, leader of the Hwoarang faction. It just can't be. How could Respole die? What happened? Ban wondered. Thanks for coming, Ban. Princess Rezin, I'm so ashamed. The big man said, to which the woman replied to him. Such is the fate of Respole. What's the point of blaming someone? Don't blame yourself. He probably knows it too. Keep an eye on the Lynx. He's having the hardest time right now. The bodybuilder confirmed her words. So it is, Lynx and Respole have been inseparable since childhood. Then please. There will be no help from an old woman like me here. The old woman said, but the big man supported her. Don't worry. Your presence alone gives us strength. The Lynx was the only one who continued to stand over the grave, no matter what. The bodybuilder came up to him and put his hand on his shoulder. Lynx, let's go. We have a lot to do. But the hero, as if he did not hear these words, he stood and blamed himself. A masked woman decided to join the conversation. What are you talking about? Stop talking nonsense. Why is it suddenly your fault? It's all because of me, I'm responsible for the death of Respole. I missed person, and Respole ran after him. Said the Lynx. The rest of the heroes just started supporting him because they had no other choice. Suddenly, the Lynx's fist clenched tightly, blood flowed from his eyes, and the veins on his face swelled. Respol's killer. I will definitely find him. He won't leave me. Necessarily. 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 While he was saying this, I was lying on the bed with a fever. The world was shocked by the news of the death of Respol. All the heroes of the world were furious. And there's nothing to say about Grigori. Even those villains who constantly got into trouble were afraid of Grigori's anger and tried to justify themselves by presenting their alibi at press conferences with journalists. Meanwhile, at the scene of the Battle of Mian Respol in the Blue Hell, Darkness, the hero, studied the evidence. The man was wearing a strange mask with red inserts. He came to the scene of the battle, trying to understand what had happened. He saw all the cracks on the ground and understood that the battle was very fierce. Darkness began to reproduce the evening when Respol and Lynx Chaz person, but separated. Looking around the neighborhood, he reproduces everything that happened that night before my battle with incredible accuracy. Judging by the tracks, person had no strength. And Respol, in turn, has energy left. Respol and Lynx were together, so it's not surprising. Respol had 0 chances to lose, why? He told himself. When suddenly something distracted him and he turned around. He noticed more footprints that pointed to a third person, that is, to me, but only person knows about it. These are not the steps of a man who has studied hand-to-hand combat. Respol's steps. It seems that Respol was not afraid of him. Apparently, they were acquainted or Respol was not afraid of him. But the first blow. Judging by the bloodstains, Respol was badly hurt. Respol also responded with a blow. But why didn't he attack from the beginning? Respol defended himself possibly in this position. But Respol was already mortally wounded. And the opponent? What is this trail? It's definitely the same creature, but why does it seem like it's not? Apparently, he turned into someone else. The way Darkness reproduced a battle would have surprised any of the investigators. He took out an object similar to a phone, but this thing can measure the level of radioactivity. And the scale in this place was off the scale. High level of radiation. It's a monster. Also with such an incredible aura. Attack, defense of the Respol. But the enemy is strong. Tired and wounded, Respol could not touch the enemy. A blow of justice. The Iron Spirit. Even Kisisen? The blows of justice of Respol and Hanel practically do not differ in strength. And Kisisen is not inferior to a nuclear missile in its power. Judging by the kind of attacks he used, he wasn't killed, caught off guard. He fought to the end. The last blow. Respol is falling. And that bastard, too. Apparently, person took him away. Person's ally? No, he has no allies. Most likely, a chance meeting. Then why did he attack Respol? Judging by the fact that Respol did not attack first, the opponent was not a monster from the very beginning. Turning into a monster? But the monster does not become completely a puppet. Some questions. How interesting. Having learned everything in great detail, just by examining the place of the battle, Darkness began to go into the distance, continuing to walk through the Blue Hell.